When I had three kids under 3 years old, my dear friend would stop by and help me with the housework. I was drowning in dishes, and she was a lifesaver. As my girls got older, I developed systems, and on occasion, my mom would come over and insert herself into my systems. It didn't work. She thought she was being helpful. She wanted to be helpful, but her help was hindering my progress of keeping a tidy house, having those systems, and so on. And unfortunately, over the years, I have caught myself doing the same with my daughters. I'm Marina Gabor, founder of Tween Talk, empowering moms to raise independent kids and that community. Today, I'll be talking about 3 ways we unintentionally sabotage our relationship with our tweens by helping too much. Now, by the end, I promise you'll see exactly how you can turn around those 3 hindrances so you can actually help your tween and nurture your relationship. And of course, I will tell you a little bit more about the Life Skills Club. It's opening in a month from today. I'm super excited. September 8th is the day, and I will tell you more about that later. So if you are here live, welcome, welcome. Type hashtag live in the chat so that I know you are here live. And if you are watching the replay, welcome, welcome. And type hashtag replay so I can say hello later on. All right, let's dive right in. We're going to dive right in. What are these 3 things? Well, I remember I was standing in line at Dairy Queen, and there's a mom and her tween daughter in front of me. And there's a lot of whispering. The mom inclines her ear to hear what her daughter's saying, and the daughter is pointing at the menu and whispering to her mom. And then her mom straightens up and in a clear voice says, "My daughter will have the hot fudge sundae with extra nuts, and I'll have the caramel sundae." It was great to see a mom and a daughter out. Maybe they were having, a special mom and daughter time. But by ordering for her daughter, she was actually hindering her daughter's growth. Now, I don't know the situation. Maybe the daughter had challenges. It didn't look like she had challenges. We don't know what the truth, the full story is. But assuming the daughter was capable, if she was doing this simple task for her daughter, she left her daughter with no voice. So if she is unable to speak up at the Dairy Queen counter, how can she speak up when the stakes are higher, when things are more difficult? Now, I know during the tween years, kids can be painfully shy. They're not confident. It's like they're coming over this speed bump into the tween years. And maybe they were confident as a kid, but now there's so many changes going on in their body, changes emotionally, changes to how they're thinking, all of these changes, and they feel awkward and unsure. 100% these things are true. But I want to challenge us today. And as I'm saying these things, I'm thinking about, okay, reflecting, how am I treating my daughters now that they're in their teens? Am I still doing this? So this is a little bit of self-reflection and talking to myself, as well as hopefully encouraging you along this path as well. So how will they overcome these challenges? They're not going to outgrow them. You don't just outgrow this inability to speak up for yourselves, but they can develop the skills over time. They may not feel confident now, but they can learn to be assertive and speak up for themselves. And by doing so, gain confidence. Now you might say, "Oh, my kid has no problem talking back to me." They are definitely assertive. But can they speak up for themselves in other situations? I'm not talking about talking back kind of assertiveness. That's a topic for another day. So here's what to do. When you're with your tween, find opportunities for them to speak up for themselves. Going to a restaurant, super easy way to get started. Make them order from the menu themselves. And what will happen, most likely, is they'll go up and, I'd like a hot fudge sundae with nuts. And they'll be talking really quiet. And the person at the counter will say, pardon me, what was that again? And they'll have to speak up. And they might look to you and wish that you would rescue them. Please don't. That help would be hindering them. So super simple thing. And then over time, they will learn, oh, I can speak up for the things that I want in a positive positive way. The more they do it, the more confident they'll be. And then they'll be willing to take on other situations where the stakes are higher. So now their friends want to do something, they don't really want to do it, or somebody's asking, what would you like to do? And instead of being silent, they'll go, oh, I can have a voice. And then they'll start to speak up because they have practiced in these low stakes situations. All right. Next one. When my oldest was entering her tween years, I didn't realize that I needed to parent differently. So there we were, and I had 3 under 3. And so we're coming into the tween years, boom, boom, boom. And so we had gone, oldest was in the tween years, the other 2 weren't far behind. And I was still parenting like they were little kids. And like I need to tell them everything that they need to do, when they need to do it, how they need to do it, all of those things. Because that's what you do when you're in those child rearing years. Because they don't need, I mean, they don't know how to make decisions. You're making all these decisions and so on. So anyway, there we are. I'm still parenting like she's a child and not a tween. And no surprise, there was some conflict. And maybe this has been the situation in your household as well. All of a sudden you're like, why am I getting all this pushback? Why am I getting this back talk? Why am I like, I thought I was doing okay as a mom, and now all of a sudden there's all this stuff coming at me. And then finally, maybe it took me a little bit longer than it should have. Maybe I was oblivious. And then I realized, oh, we're going into a different stage. I can't parent the same way. So I started including her in the conversations about decisions that significantly affected her. So I still didn't give her decisions about every little thing, which leads to decision fatigue. And that's not really what tweens are looking for. Again, they're looking for their voice. They're looking to have some input, some say in what their life looks like. Now, it was a balancing act for sure. But when we continually make decisions that significantly affect our tweens without inviting them to at least be part of that conversation, they won't have the final say. But they will feel seen, they will feel heard, and hopefully what they say will flavor or impact that final decision in some way so that they feel like their contribution does mean something. Maybe the decision is already kind of decided, but you're listening to them, you're hearing what they have to say, and then you can execute that decision a little bit differently so that your tween really feels like they were part of it, and they'll be more invested in following through with whatever that decision was. So to recap, the ways we sabotage a relationship are speaking for our tweens. So we're taking away their voice by speaking for them. And we can let them speak in these low stakes situations. They'll gain confidence so that when it matters, they will be able to have the confidence to speak up for themselves. Secondly, we can include them in the conversation when we're deciding things that directly impact their lives. And again, they won't have the final word, but we can consider their thoughts and feelings, and that can flavor how that decision is executed. They will feel heard. They will feel important and valued, and your relationship will get stronger. Now, piggybacking on that, on this idea of talking through decisions, is talking about hard things. We use euphemisms when describing what happens during puberty, which sometimes leaves tweens feeling even more confused. Like, can you just talk about what we're actually talking about? Or we avoid dealing with conflict because we don't know how to handle it well. Now, I'm speaking to myself here. I have had to learn how to deal with conflict without yelling. I don't know, any other moms here that used to be yellers? Maybe you're still yelling and trying to figure out how to not be a yeller. Maybe you are an avoider. Yes, I have walked away from conversations because I didn't know how to handle it. Maybe you're in that same boat. The struggle is real. So how do we have these difficult conversations? Because it's not doing anybody a favor, us or them, if we avoid those difficult things. So, what if we just put the difficult things out there at an age appropriate conversation level, laid them bare on the table so you can see them for what they are? It'll be awkward, ugly, but you know what you're dealing with, and they know what you're talking about. Now, I'm sure this is an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to stick with it. We need to face those difficult conversations bravely. We need to be the adult. We need to show our kids how to talk about these difficult things. They will appreciate it. I know they will appreciate it because my daughters have thanked me for having real conversations. They've told me they felt bad for kids whose parents didn't talk to them. And I'm thinking, we just had some really tough conversations about some really challenging topics, and you are thankful? Okay, take a breath, keep on moving forward, keep having those difficult conversations. Your kids, they want you to talk to them, even about the hard stuff. So here's a relationship building action you can take. Start talking about small things. Make time for conversation that is completely fluff. Now you might think, I don't have time for that. And as they enter the tweens and we're coming out of this child rearing stage where we're just giving instructions, we hit the tweens, sort of the speed bump, and we're still giving instructions and we're not actually having conversations, really. That's problematic. They're starting to figure out who they are and what they're about, and they want to explore ideas. And sometimes they just want to talk about silly things. And that's what's going to build the relationship. They are learning how to have these conversations. So laugh about memes, watch their movies with them, talk about anything and everything that seems inconsequential. Like, why are we even talking about this? But it builds this foundation of shared moments. So when there's this difficult conversation looming, you've got some relationship capital. You've had those good feelings, those good memories, those good, like nothing conversations that have just been fun and have built that good foundation. They know that you like them, that you're invested in them, that you like them as a person. Even though sometimes it's kind of, you're like, what are we watching again? But just do it. Invest the time. Then when you have that difficult conversation and you have to like bring it out and lay it out, you don't have to belabor it for hours and hours, but you do need to lay it out, talk about it, package it back up, put it away. You're still having some fluff kind of conversations. You bring out that hard topic again, look at another part of it, but they'll realize that it's not all these hard conversations. Like, every time I talk with mom, it's about a hard conversation. No, sometimes it's about nothing. And sometimes we really need to dig in and discuss the things. And then, because you also include them in the decision making process when it significantly affects them, they can trust that you're going to walk with them through this difficult conversation. You're going to hear what they have to say. You're going to know that the first thing that pops out of their mouth isn't the final answer. They're trying to figure it out. So they might say some things that just shock you. Learn how to just not look shocked. So then they'll keep talking and they're working it through. Because as they say things, I mean, oh, that does sound ridiculous. Let me look at this from another angle. And they know that you're going to walk with them through that process, even if it's hard, even if it takes multiple conversations, and even if after laying out this hard topic, they don't like the final answer and they're not sure that you're right. And they still think, yeah, I'm not sure that this is done yet. They will feel seen and heard. And if you make a habit of not shying away from those difficult topics, then they're going to start bringing those difficult topics to you. Can you help me talk this through? Can you help me think this through, work this through? Whatever. What should I do? They want to hear from you. So there's a few tweaks that you can do to your mindset, and also just slight behavioral tweaks in how you're interacting with your tween that are going to be huge for building your relationship instead of sabotaging it. So number one, you are going to stop speaking on their behalf and you're going to give them the opportunity to speak for themselves. And instead of making decisions without involving them, you are going to involve them in that decision-making process so they feel seen and heard. And finally, instead of avoiding difficult conversations, you're going to embrace them. You're going to choose to move forward in that. So those are the 3 actions that you might be taking that are sabotaging your relationship with your tween, and what you could do to change that. The foundation that you build during these tween years, it so much sets you up for such a better journey in the teen years. You'll have built up that relationship, how to communicate, that you can talk about difficult things, that you work through decisions together. That's going to carry forward into the teen years. And it's going to make it less difficult in the teen years if you establish that now. But we're busy. How do we do this? It's hard to think of all these life skills. How can we teach them all of these things? And we've got other kids to think about and jobs to think about and housework to, like, all of the things. Sometimes you probably don't have the energy to think about it. So just like you outsource piano lessons, you can outsource some of those life skills, which is why I am creating the Life Skills Club. Launching September 8th, so a month from today, a great place for tweens to connect and learn some of those foundational life skills step by step. They're going to learn them, practice them in the Life Skills Club, take them back into the home, practice them at home, and then you're not the one that's doing all of the figuring out, how do I teach them this? But you're going to benefit from them learning those skills over here and applying them at home. So type life skills in the chat to get more information on the Life Skills Club. And until next time, talk with your tween.